Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Roll Spot Connection with the weekly comic book roundup. We've covered this week's Marvel books as well as some of this week's DC books. Now it's on to this week's Batman books as well as an entry from Boom Studios. Kicking things off, we've got Detective Comics number 1050. Continuing the weekly Shadows of the Bat story. Where we left off, Batwoman had broken into Arkham Tower and encountered Huntress, who seemed to have no interest whatsoever in leaving. While this was after Batwoman left, Anna Volshin, who resides in the room next to Huntress's, was chatted up by one of the maintenance workers, who's also a member of the gang known as the Party Crashers. And it seemed as though Anna is not as cured as Doctors Ware and Ocean would like to think. We open it with a flashback to No Man's Land. Joker and Harley have Huntress surrounded, and Batman and Nightwing come in to help. Nightwing is narrating this, explaining why, kind of thinking to himself, or talking about why he thinks maybe Huntress and Batman don't really get along so well. Everyone else in the Bat family, they they chose to follow Bruce's path. But in the case of Huntress, it's more like she went down the path on her own, and Batman and Huntress both saw too much similarity in each other, is what Nightwing thinks. And so they're trying to figure out what to do about getting Huntress out of there. And we see that Anna Volshin attacks the maintenance worker, forcefully removing his eyes, and Huntress is able to see this due to her exposure to the Hugh parasite. There's another more recent flashback, Huntress and Nightwing working together, and they stop a mugging, and Huntress goes a little far on attacking the mugger, and Nightwing tries to catch up to her, but back in Arkham Tower, Dr. Ware comes to Huntress, bringing her some. Apparently, it seems she's had some trouble sleeping, shouting in her sleep. But as Dr. Ware leaves, there's a mess in the hallway to clean. Ware tries to explain everything that's going, all the problems to Dr. Ocean. And Oracle manages to get Dick in on the maintenance crew. Under the alias of Dan Smith. A couple of the party crashers are wondering what's happened to Mark, the maintenance worker who was killed. We had another flashback with Dick trying to convince Huntress to go to be the Bat family's eyes inside Arkham Tower. She refuses, however, but entrusts Dick with keys to her apartment and taking care of Doug the cat. But Nightwing has an encounter with Mr. Freeze inside the tower, who seems amiable. He explains that they're all fine. But he notices some blood on the floor and takes a sample. Informs Oracle that he's got a blood sample for her to run. One of the party crashers from earlier goes to see Dr. Ware, wanting to know what's happened to Mark. And he's told that, but he's made to feel good and like there's nothing wrong, and he leaves. We discover that working with Dr. Ware is none other than Psycho Pirate. Moving on to our backup story, House of Gotham, where we left off. The Scarecrow gathered up the orphans from the Wayne Foundation orphanage and was using fear gas on them in the hopes of having them kill Bruce Wayne. The boy had gone with as well. The boy is not under the effects of the fear toxin, but Alpha tries to stop them. And then Robin sneaks in through the Batcave, takes on the orphans, has to briefly fight Robin or the boy as well, before Robin must deal with Scarecrow. But Scarecrow discovers that the boy is present and helps him escape, explaining that that this attack on Wayne Manor was not for the special children. It was for the regular children, and the boy is one of the special children. But Batman arrives, and in order to make things easier on the boy, in the long run, Scarecrow gives him a massive dose of fear gas. Batman finds the boy catatonic, having been poisoned, while Alfred leads the children who are recovering from their exposure to fear toxin out of the manor, which is burning at the moment. And Batman is understandably shocked that the boy's been poisoned. There's also a preview of the upcoming World's Finest book, and I don't know. I'm honestly not sure if we're going to be getting that one or not, but so I'm not. It's just it looks to be just a preview of the first few pages, but I gotta say, Shadows of the Bat and House of Gotham are both turning out to be really good. I think Shadows of the Bat runs through this upcoming month, and then before it wraps up. But anyway, moving on to our next book, we've got Harley Quinn number 11. Where we left off, Keepsake was back and had apparently taken Kevin prisoner. And so we begin with Harley having to do a train problem. You know the type. A train leaves from one city. One train leaves from one city at this time, going at this speed. Another train leaves from this other city. You know the type. It's probably one of the word problems in math everyone despises. But it turns out that Kevin is tied to the train tracks, so. And there's a bomb on the train. In group, one of Keepsake's, let's see, Blaine is the character, but she had been recruited into Keepsake's gang, and Harley's trying to help her, as are the other former clowns. But she's trying to get a hold of Kevin with no luck. She's going straight to voicemail. And a small model train shows up with a note addressed to Harley from Keepsake, saying that he has Kevin at the Bailey train station, telling her to come alone. She shows up, and, well, Keepsake's got something a little bit better than group of knockoffs of Batman villains. He has repurposed Peacekeeper drone bots. And it turns out that Harley's Team Terminator. Team Skynet all the way. She also, however, is a fan of Linda Hamilton's Sarah Connor. But Keepsake basically gives her a trolley problem to deal with. She either A, make it so the train doesn't, so the train will end up running into the station and exploding, or it'll explode outside of Gotham after having run over Kevin. Those are her options. But she promptly ridicules him for using the trolley problem and points out the problems with it, the trolley problem in general. She then fights off the drones, makes a few of the Terminator references, and ends up stuck in the train, and so she manages to get loose and get under the train and decide which way it's going to go. She decides it's going to go towards Kevin. Elsewhere, back at where Harley has her group meetings, Blaine returns thinking she forgot her phone and finds the train from Keepsake and reads the note, tears it up, and presumably goes after Keepsake, which is where the issue ends. So it's looking like Kevin will be saved after all. Which brings us to our next book, Task Force Z, number 4. Where we left off, Red Hood had once again escaped, broken out of the chop shop. Only this time, rather than just going out for a stroll, he went to where the mysterious Crispin, the leader of Task Force Z, was said to be. Only to discover that Crispin is in fact Harvey Dent. And he's really trying to come up with a good reason not to just beat the holy hell out of Harvey. Harvey tries to talk him out of it, but he does at least get shot in the chest. At the chop shop, Mr. Bloom has modified some of the Lazarus resin and gives it to Man-Bat to discuss some things. A plan of Bloom's. But with someone coming, you got to turn Man-Bat back into Man-Bat as opposed to, Kurt Langstrom. Two-Face and Red Hood talk. Turns out that though the methodology of Task Force Z is questionable, it's on the level-ish under the Task Force Act. But Red Hood leaves and encounters Batman. Red Hood's kind of thinking that, maybe this isn't such a bad thing after all. Maybe we should at least try to work with it. But Batman and Red Hood deal with stop a mugging and beat down the muggers. And Two-Face shows up at the chop shop to. There is a problem. That problem, however, is not a problem with the task force in general, but rather Amanda Waller, who basically tells Harvey that they're shutting down Task Force Z. But later, Red Hood and Task Force Z are looking for stores of Lazarus resin, and so they find some. The task force goes to deal with it, and it seems to be the location where Mr. Bloom was created. But they deal with the other zombie army. But it turns out that also we learned that Amelia and Delia are the deceased daughters of the woman running the other location, Celia. But there's a bit of a standoff, and then it turns out that Waller has her own Task Force Z on site, ready to take care of things. Her lineup, her Task Force Z, consisting of Solomon Grundy, Double Down, Copperhead, KG Beast, and another villain who I'm not entirely sure who it is, though there's some oddly similar aesthetics to how the Scarecrow looks in the Arkham series. So, yeah, but Waller's task force has been tasked to take care of Red Hood's task force, and that is where the issue ends. It's honestly it's a fun book, and I can't blame anyone for thinking that Harvey is not on the up. That Harvey Dent's not on the up and up. It is Harvey Dent after all. Anyway, moving on to our next book, we've got the Batman Catwoman special. So this basically tells the life and times of Selina Kyle from her childhood, where apparently she spent time at Wayne Manor. We also see kind of her interactions over the years with Batman as well as Joker, including bits and snippets of Batman and Catwoman's marriage. Apparently, at 6, Batman had made the decision that him and Catwoman's daughter Helena would follow in the family footsteps, and in fact give her a sword for Christmas, inlaid with metal to make it light, though it can be removed if need be. It turns out that, and we learned that Selina actually did not want Helena to be a member of the Bat family. And Catwoman had made her learn a mantra. If I see the Joker, I run the other way. Good advice. The issue ends, however, with the elderly Catwoman's apparent death during a mugging. It is overall a fairly interesting issue. It also features some of the, I think, the last published artwork of the late John Paul Leon, who passed late last year, early this year. It was late last year, but it was a huge deal in the comic community. Which brings us to our last book for the week, House of Slaughter number 4. We get more about Jace and Aaron's relationship. Apparently it was a forbidden relationship within the House of Slaughter. We also get some background on the House of Boucher. And apparently it turns out that the House of Boucher didn't die in an accident. They were wiped out by the House of Slaughter, who didn't approve of the House of Boucher's methods. And apparently the dragon himself, who's in charge of the House of Slaughter, is the one who killed Jace's parents. There was a point where Aaron suggested, or it was suggested by Jace that he and Aaron run away, and they almost did, but yeah. Jace got his fangs and decided to go after the dragon, and I guess we'll see in the next issue how that played out. I get the feeling, though, it did not play out well for him. But as always, House of Slaughter's quality read. But anyway, that will do it for this week's roundup. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and PayPal can be found in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off, saying live long and rock hard.